Well, hello, and welcome to Asksuite's webinar HotelCast TV. Yes, we are back again. Today, we're here to talk about how to increase direct bookings like a pro. As you know, Asksuite is the world leader conversational booking solution for hotels, chains, and resorts. Asksuite is also the 2020, 2021, and 2022 Best Hotel Chatbot in the World by Hotel Tech Awards. Plus, because we haven't finished yet, plus HotelCast, our podcast, was named the second best hospitality podcast by International Hospitality Institute. That's pretty awesome. And if you want to know more about us, I invite you to follow Asksuite on LinkedIn, where you can find upcoming webinars, podcast episodes, events, and of course, a lot of good content about the hotel industry. Okay, so people are starting to join us today. So, hello again, everybody, and welcome. My name is Paula. I'm the content coordinator at Asksuite, and I'm the host of this live show. So, please, if you let us know where you're watching the show right now. It's always really fun to know where in the world people are. I always think it's amazing the power of internet, right? So we're here with me. You already can see my three special guests. So let me just say hi to them really quickly because we have a lot to cover. First, I would like to say hello to Catt McLeod, Director of Strategic Partnerships at HotelREZ, Hotels and Resorts. Fun fact about Catt. She has been following our webinar series since the beginning. Yes, I remember her since the first episodes, and she's always been supporting us, interacting with us, even before Asksuite and HotelREZ had partnered up. So this is really cool, Catt. Thank you so much for all the support all this way, and I am really, really happy to have you, especially today here with us. So welcome to the show. And what can you tell us about yourself and HotelREZ to our audience?
Well, firstly, Paula, thank you so much for having me. Having watched for so long, I'm so excited to be live with you all today. My name is Catt McLeod. I'm from HotelREZ, Hotels and Resorts, and that encompasses our consumer brands, Best Loved Hotels and World Rainbow Hotels. And I'm a distribution professional, 20 years. I can hardly believe that I've been doing this. And HotelREZ provides full service distribution to ResBooker for your own booking engine, the GDS, and full online travel agent channel management, as well as sales representation and consortia and agency sales. So thank you very, very much for having us.
Thank you, Catt. Next, I want to say hello to Matthew Willacy, Director of Sales at Foresight. And I have a fun fact too, but about Foresight this time. Alan Nelson, who is the CEO and co-founder of Foresight, was one of the guests at Asksuite's very first webinar and my very first webinar. So that's pretty cool to have Foresight here again, and this time with the amazing Matt. So hi, Matt. Thank you so much.
Hi. And I never knew that interesting fact about my leader. So that's great to hear, actually. So yeah, I'm Matt Willacy. I work with Foresight. I've got a pretty broad technology background, which spans the hospitality tech space. So property management, CRM, revenue management, and distribution. So I'm really, really happy and excited to be a part of this panel today. And thanks very much, Paula, for the opportunity to talk about the topic of how to increase direct bookings like a pro. And just for those people that don't really know anything about Foresight, as if you wouldn't, Foresight, they provide hoteliers with marketing and engagement automation to connect with their customers from a single platform. So we're focused on improving the way hotels and service department providers engage with their guests by unlocking that guest journey with the power of data. So we help to automate campaigns, but we also really enable the hotelier to take control of their client database and use really advanced segmentation and data cleansing to create super personalized, highly personalized, and automated conversations with their customers. Okay, so that's us.
Thank you so much, Matt. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. And finally, we have David Byrne, VP of Sales and Partnerships at Asksuite, my colleague. Thank you so much for being here today, David. Welcome. And David, I'm reading the script now, and I see that we also have a fun fact about you here. Apparently, you can sing. Someone told me, and someone told me that you probably will do it by the end of this webinar. So please tell us about this talent of yours and about yourself and Asksuite, please.
Thank you very much, Paula, and thank you for the little surprise that you've just thrown in. So that was full revenge. If anybody saw our last webinar, so that's exactly what we do. What she's doing. Let's keep this professional. No songs yet. So I won't talk about Asksuite because Paula did a great job at the start in explaining who we are. I think just a little bit more, I suppose, about this webinar is that I'm honestly delighted to be here, but amongst the present company. So I know Catt a long time, so it's great to finally share the screen together on a webinar. I know Matt and I know Foresight, so it should be a great hour to share our insights. And what a great topic, because that's pretty much why I joined Asksuite, was to be more focused on direct bookings. So it's been a real journey since my start date here back in September. I've learned a lot about direct bookings and we're all focused on it. So let's talk about it.
Great. Thank you, David. And yes, feedback, I had to do it. So I can see more people joining us. Thank you so much. Hello to Leandro, to Renan, that's saying hello to us. Please feel free to not only say hello and tell us where you're watching the show, but also take the opportunity to ask your question. This is a live show. It's one of the best things about doing live show is the interactions. So don't be shy. Just write your question there on the chat box and we will do our best to answer you. So, okay, so let's start. About talking about direct bookings. That's why we are here. And yeah, I think it's no news that people are talking about direct bookings like all the time. You can see if you go to LinkedIn, it's a lot about this topic. It's almost like the song. since David won't sing, I will do it just a little bit. It's like the song direct book is here, direct books there, direct book is everywhere, so it's a little bit about that. So but why, like, what's the fuss about direct bookings? So let's start talking about distribution and landscape, and I will start with you, Catt. Why do you think is so important? Why people are talking about direct bookings like constantly?
I think we talk about direct bookings as an industry because we recognize that the guest that books direct is often the guest that we can generate to be a repeat guest and that we can give the best service to. But I think it's very important to remember it as part of the broader distribution landscape. And we're focusing on direct bookings today. And by direct bookings, we typically mean bookings that are made via the property's own website. And what I think has happened is that there's been a huge growth in the number of online travel agents, in the number of meta search, in the opportunities for people to book online on the web. And at the same time, there's been a really large growth in the number of properties that are available to be booked on the internet. And those two growths, that's given great choice for the consumer, but it's also made the environment very competitive. And a property, when they're selling direct, they are selling on their own website, but they're also selling on online travel agents. So what we're focusing on today is very much how can you be laser focused on the direct booking element. So my first top tip is to really start with the booker, start with the guest. What is their route to your property? Why are they coming to your property? And that's where I'd start when I'm starting looking at a direct booking strategy.
Great point, Catt. And before I go to Matt, because I want to hear his thoughts too, I just heard from the backstage here, we did have some problems with the chat at the beginning of the show. So if you're having problems, just refresh the page and everything will work out. So, okay, Matt, now I want to hear from you. Then same topic, your opinion.
Sure thing. Thanks, Paula. Well, we all know OTA reservations, they carry a commission, right? So erodes your margins and ultimately the profitability of each guest that's staying in your hotel. So I think, direct bookings equal more profitable bookings, broadly speaking, let's say. But of course, it's way more than that. And, how many hoteliers struggle with the challenge of communicating with their guests directly when they've not booked direct? It's impossible for, I think, to have a real connection with the guest until they physically arrive in the property, because that line of communication is controlled by those OTA platforms. So I think my focus at Foresight, and the reason why we get up in the morning, and the reason why we go to work, is that we know and we understand the power that first party data from direct bookings can provide. Okay, so that information for us is gold, and it's gold for a hotelier as well. And it provides the opportunity for the hotelier to communicate in a way which would be otherwise impossible. And, I think it's this aspect of the conversation, understanding the guests before they arrive, which provides the hotel with choices, choices as to how they interact with that person or the people that are staying. How do you understand them? What are their preferences? How do you look after them? And how do you make more money out of them, I suppose? Direct bookings is one way of achieving this. And, by collecting reliable, accurate customer data, including emails, which you don't necessarily obtain through other channels, I think. So I look at the fuss about direct bookings and from the aspect of the importance of deploying a data-centric strategy, okay, in the hotel. It's critical you use the data effectively, of course it is, but you need to use it in a way which resonates with the guests to achieve all your ambitions within the property, your growth ambitions, your revenue, your service levels. But I certainly think that how you interact with your guests provides the hotel with that very best opportunity to focus on that guest journey throughout their experience in the property, and with all the insights that come with the data, of course.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, I think you and Catt touch a point that the same point, that you need to understand the guest, of course, and you need to understand the guest to provide the best service to increase revenue, and and that's one of the advantages of direct bookings, because if you go through OTAs, if the reservation comes through an OTA, you lose that, and I think you both nail it. And David, let's go to you then. Your thoughts about the same topic here, why direct bookings are important.
Yeah, so there's two words for me. There's behavior and value. So I'm going to continue on with the behavior piece that Matt touched on, and that's that what we know in layman's terms is that the guest is getting more intelligent about the hospitality industry. So when they're doing their research on their next hotel stay, we know that they're questioning the rates on the hotel's website versus the OTA. So they're not just going straight to the OTA and making that automatic booking. So it's all our role here to work on this and provide as much education to the hotel as we can to put their best foot forward. But it really is down to the value of that actual direct booking, and what does that look like. So it's one thing we selling, like at Asksuite, we're selling a product focused on direct bookings, a pre-stay, but it's making sure that the hotel understands that putting that investment in is worth it versus the commission to the OTA. So that's where we come in, and that's our educational piece, and that would be my tip, to make sure that they really understand the investment into these products and what they're going to do long term. So staying with guest loyalty, and especially having Matt here, with from the CRM piece, is that the direct booking equals a much longer story for the hotel. In other words, you've got a return guest. What we know is the return guest will go back to the website. Why? Because they feel loyal to the hotel. It's harder for them to cancel. It's easier for them to cancel on the OTA. We know data shows that the direct booker second time round books longer. They book packages, etc. You've got to look at the much longer picture for it, and that would be my tip here. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that, to see not short sight, but be long term. I think that's one thing that many hotels still miss. Let's say hello here. So I ask people to say hello. So it would be rude to me to not say hello to them. So hello, Matteo. Matteo saying great webinar and outstanding speakers. Thank you, Matteo. Hello from UK. Hello, Deborah. Hello from Italy, Annalisa Salvadori. Hello, Annalisa. Alex is saying great panel and great topic. And Sudip is saying hello, everyone. Hello. Thanks, everybody, for watching us. Again, feel free to ask your question or making a comment during this panel. We love interactions. So, okay. It's a lot of talk about direct bookings, but direct bookings is not something new, of course. It's something that exists since the beginning of the industry. But there are some differences, right? Have changed the way direct bookings are done, the behavior, like as you all saying. So I'm going to start with you, David. What, in your opinion, is different now in the world of direct bookings that hoteliers should be aware of?
So years ago when we spoke about direct bookings, we all specifically spoke about a booking straight on the hotel's website, which takes the guest through into the booking engine itself, which is still the primary booking area, as we know. But what's happened with all industries changing across the world over the last years is that we now are social media animals across the world. So we all go to our mobile phone. We go to all the different social media platforms. So the hospitality industry, from a direct booking point of view, has had to keep up with that. So we've had to ensure that the products that we all represent, evolve with that process. So what does that look like? Well, a few years back, we had what we call multi-channel, and that's just allowing the guest to approach the hotel from a communication point of view, with a view to making the booking, coming into the hotel from all of these different angles. And just in the last couple of years, what we've done well at Asksuite, what we've done is we've gone that extra mile to look at and create what's called the Omni Channel, which is allowing the hotel to basically manage all communication channels focused on direct bookings and communication from a pre-stay perspective into one area. And I think that's the biggest change over the last 10 years, if we look at, is that, and we're going to go back to the first point again about behavior. And what's happening is I spoke about this on a previous webinar. We know that 40% of our chats are after 6 p.m. So what does that mean? That means that we're sitting on our sofa at home, Googling where our next break is going to be and planning. So it's our role to educate the hotel to make sure that they are fully open 24/7, all channels running across all platforms. And I think that's the biggest change.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but yes, I do. I do have this behavior. I do check, plan my trips and things to do for fun after work. That's most people do. So it totally makes sense. Let me just say hello to Dylan here. Good morning, Catt, Paula, Matt, and David, and Murilo. Hello, Murilo. I think I missed Murilo there. They are saying, I think they know each other here because they are chatting here. And Dylan is saying, I like the statistics, David. So well done. Catt, in your opinion, then, what do you think it's different now in the world of direct bookings?
Well, I love this concept and this reality now of Omni Channel, and that's extended not just through the marketing channels. So Instagram is my kind of personal inspiration place at the moment, where I'm flicking through, whether it's a handbag or a holiday. That's what I'm looking at. But also Omni Channel, as in, when I go onto the internet then to book, if I get a wedding invitation, and if somebody gets a wedding invitation, what's the first thing you do? You go to the internet, you look at the hotel that the wedding is at, or you look at hotels in the area that wedding or other event is at. Now, what the Omni Channel, both in terms of the marketing and social media, enables, and what the diverse distribution strategy, so your own website, but also being on the OTAs, and I'll clarify this, enables you to be found. There was some research done many years ago that showed billboard effect for hotels that are on the OTAs. And that if you're on an OTA, that's how people might find you. So a key tip in deriving direct bookings is, yes, of course, be available, be findable on those online travel agents, but make sure that if somebody is searching for your property specifically, through whatever channel they're searching for you, that they can find you and that they can find your website. So if it's a wedding, maybe you're giving the wedding couple a link that leads directly into their wedding dates, which then, because they're going to give that out to their guests, and Auntie Jean from Scotland's not going to have to badger them to book the hotel for them. You're just getting that direct booking rather than, you get a wedding invitation, for example, and then you go off to booking.com as a search engine for hotels, So that's one tip. Enable those direct bookings by making it really easy for the booker to find you. And I think something that's really changed is that now that booking technology, 20 years ago and even 15 years ago, when I started doing this and booking engines for hotels and CRS technology, that was really, for the big 4-star hotels in the city centre. But now we can support all manner of independent properties, from 5-star 600-bedroom palaces in Dubai to the 4-bedroom pub, and really make that technology accessible to the property. So explore what technology's out there. I think you've got a good starting selection here, and then use that technology to target the guest.
Yeah, I think my opinion, it's one of the things that make it harder, or I don't know, didn't help much, the direct bookings, that they were really hard to do, or it was a hassle. You couldn't, even if you find the hotel, if you find the hotel in the website or in Google or whatever, but then inside of it, the website itself was so difficult to navigate too. So we hear that a lot, at least. I go to booking.com because it's easier. You just have to press one button. That's it.
One small add to that. I was looking at the hoteliers signing up for this webinar, and then I was going onto their websites to see, what booking engine are they using? And a couple of hoteliers who I will call after this call, I genuinely couldn't find the call to action. I couldn't see where to or how to book that hotel. And I look at websites all the time. So use the technology to make it easy for somebody to find you.
Yeah, and it's funny how blind they are for this technical problem, that it's so important. Like, I don't think they even try to book their own hotel, because they would notice that it's not a simple process. So I don't know. Yeah, you're spot on, Catt. And I think we're here talking about, you mentioned something before too that I just wanted to highlight. We are talking here about direct bookings, of course, is the focus of this. But you mentioned, and I agree with you, it is important to be on a booking.com or OTA, whatever. It gives you a visibility that you otherwise might not have. And once I read some CEO of a big hotel chain saying, and I agree with him, I forgot who was it, saying it's totally okay to get the first booking from an OTA from this guest, but if he keeps going from the OTA, then the same guest, then you have a problem. And I agree with him. I think it's a good way to attract, but you should retain. And yeah.
We've also know we've zero patience. As humans,
Yes.
We don't have the patience we used to, and now, especially coming out of the pandemic, we're busier and we don't have as much patience, which means we want the answers quicker. So the hotel has to respond to that. They've got to provide answers, rates, availability. They've got to make the whole process seamless. And be as competitive, because if the hotel 1 mile down the road has done that one step better, then the guest is going there, they're getting the answer quicker. So they've got to stay ahead of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to book nowadays. It's just a next, you know, and yeah, that's it. And Matt, let's hear from you then your thoughts about what's different now.
Thanks. I kind of looked at it from a data and a CRM point of view, really. I think habits, our habits as consumers they're constantly evolving, aren't they? We've seen that over the last couple of years because the world's constantly changing. So I think a direct booking strategy it provides the hotelier with the opportunity to control the narrative, to control their own narrative and what they say to their own guests, and capturing that associated data for use in a CRM to personalize and to facilitate that narrative is, I think, really important. In fact, I think it's pretty essential, actually. So I think I like the conversation around Omni Channel. I think that we absolutely do need to move beyond multi-channel campaigns and communications. I think that consumers these days are demanding that we can communicate, or they can communicate with hoteliers via their channel of choice at a time of their choosing. You're absolutely right, David. And that the hotel are then able to pick back up that conversation via different methods and I suppose crucially at different stages within the guest journey. So certainly I think hoteliers need to be working with their various tech suppliers and use solutions like a CRM CDP to augment and enhance the data, which is usually captured within lots of different systems within a hotel, bring it together in an actionable format, and then use that across all the different areas of the business. What's different in the world of direct bookings for me, I think certainly the one size fits all hotel offering is declining. I think that customers are increasingly demanding of hotel experiences, I think, that meet their specific wants, and the hotels that are able to embrace that and embrace that trend, they will win business and they will win guest loyalty. So I think by using technology, we can look at every channel that your customers or our hotel's customers connect with within their hotel, I suppose. And I think we can unite all those different interactions to present a single holistic, I would use the word unified, but a single view or organized view of who they are. In terms of packages, I don't know, whether it's well-being and health or some kind of experience or culture. I think that hotels can drive business growth, certainly through direct bookings, by designing packages and this is where I come in, it's targeting distinct customer profile segments. And that can only really be achieved by looking at the customers that stay within your hotel. Okay, so, at Foresight, we know that precisely targeting your customers directly using language, location, behavior, their loyalty level, whatever it is that information you're storing against them, it does maximize open rates. It does maximize your click and conversion rates. And by pushing that right content to the right guest, achieves results. And finally, there was one thing I was looking at recently. There's an index called the Simplicity Index, which kind of resonated with me. One of the statistics that came out of that index was 64% of consumers are more likely to recommend a brand because of a simple experience. And that for me demonstrates the benefits of controlling that direct booking process. How often have we been on a hotel direct booking engine and then just moved straight off to booking.com? Complexity costs money. And I think even more, something that resonated with me even more was that 57% of those people are more willing to pay a premium for a more simple experience. So getting the technology right and connecting it all together in a simple flow, I think, is critical for hoteliers to achieve results through that direct booking strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned a few important things there, Matt. But for one, I don't think it's possible to really be great in the hotel business if you don't rely into any kind of technology, because it is so much going on from all different departments, channel distribution or communication or whatever. It's insane. I remember back in the old days that we didn't only have like a PMS, or sometimes not even that, and it was crazy. And what you're thinking about, you having a view of in how you say that, holistic view of the guest.
Yeah.
That is so important. That's what people want. People like offering when you do have that, you can offer the right thing to the right person, like you're saying, right?
I agree. I think hoteliers need to tap into these market desires for these more specialized stays, I think, and bring together the elements of the experiences that are demanded by your target segments. And you'll know that through understanding your guest data and tying it all together, it kind of to that overarching experiential theme, I think. But, at the end of the day, we need to have a joined up approach to enable all the hoteliers' tech suppliers. And, from my perspective, I would always say that a CRM sits truly at the heart of understanding how the guest interacts with your property. And that defines some of the best methods of communication content, and then working with our partners to make it a seamless guest journey throughout the experience.
Yeah, I think it's almost annoying when I'm thinking about my own experience. It's almost annoying when they offer me that something that have absolutely nothing to do with me. Like, why, just learn the basics, please.
Exactly.
It's almost, it's backfire. But anyway, a lot of people are commenting here. Thank you, everybody. It's we're loving the interaction here. First, Idoia, well, I know Idoia, and she is like me. She also books after work. Yes, Idoia, we are the same. And then I have here, Annalisa is asking, knowing that B2B transactions are still necessary, based on your experience, I think it was for Catt, what's the average direct booking share or the recommended one in the tourism industry, Catt?
Thank you so much for asking that, Annalisa, because direct bookings are undoubtedly important, and obviously that's what we're discussing today. But there is a whole tourism and travel industry that books via GDSs. There are corporate travelers, there are tour operators and DMCs. So that's why it's really important to understand your guest and also to understand your booker. The percentage, the proportion of direct bookings, which your strategy should form. I'm thinking from my mug here, and I'm thinking, well, this base here, I definitely want that to be direct bookings. This here, okay, maybe my corporate transient, etc. And the cherry on the top is my top direct bookings. Direct bookings at the top, direct bookings as your base, because the top direct bookings that you can get that really, if you understand the value of that guest, you understand them and you know how to upsell to them. You know how you can encourage them to eat in your restaurant. You can encourage them to share their stay on their social media if they're a leisure stay. So in terms of percentage that should be direct bookings, a distribution channel mix, it needs to be balanced. It needs to be optimized for the specific property, and that involves a really deep understanding of that property. But often those direct bookings, there should be the most profitable reservations for you. But absolutely, we need to honor and look after our guests, whichever channel they come through. And if they're B2B, particularly those corporate bookers that visit you on a wet Wednesday in February, you need to look after those too. And I think a holistic approach with your property management system, your customer relationship management tool that Matt's talking about, and your central reservation system powering your booking engine, I think if that's managed in a holistic way, then you have the best opportunity to get that mix right.
Thank you, Catt. And then I have here Alex that is talking about OTA. So I think it's in the same topic, let's say. Alex is saying OTAs are a great shop front contact details are in a form of currency, in my opinion. Getting their details to personalize the best booking experience for the second visit. I think it's aligned a little bit to what we said before. Like, I think, like you were saying too, it's all about balance too in the distribution, right, Catt, that you were mentioning. And OTA, we are talking about direct bookings here, but we are not saying that you should not be on OTAs. They are important. They have a role to play in your distribution for sure, right? Here, sorry, someone was saying something.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I completely agree with you, Paula. At the end of the day, even with us here talking about focusing on direct bookings, if I travel to London tomorrow into an area that I'm unsure about and I need to stay in that area, you're going to go to the OTA because you're going to go to that funnel of hotels straight away. But I think what's interesting is the data that we're seeing is that is just, as Alex just said, that is the shop front. So that's to see exactly what's going on in that area. But we are getting clever. So the guest is then jumping to the website to do the comparison. So the hotel has to think, okay, well, if they're coming here, we need to get it right and keep them here. And that's it. So Alex is spot on, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, David. And well, so many hoteliers that are watching us, they're probably thinking, well, yes, you convinced me. I want to invest more in direct bookings. So what are the must-do things for hotels in terms of increasing direct bookings? That's why we are here. And something that you already touched, some of you already touched this point, does it really pay off? Because I think people, many hotels still think, maybe it's a lot of work. Is it really worth it? So I will start with you, Matt. What are the must-do things to do?
Yeah, thanks. I think let first and foremost, let's keep this really, really simple. You need to use, as a hotelier, you need to use the data that you're capturing. Full stop. Okay. And then you also need to capture the data and the permissions that you don't have yet, which sounds counterintuitive, but it sounds simple, doesn't it, really? But it relies on you having the right systems in place. And it also, there's also a degree of human awareness, I think, in the property that, for me, a data-centric strategy is in place. Deploying a CRM and a marketing comms platform, that's really important to facilitate and personalize the communication to your guests. We know that. But it's also really important that the staff and the teams have that awareness of what you're trying to achieve. And I'll give you an example, and these are genuine examples of 3 hotels that I stayed in recently. At the first property, the direct booking experience was broken. So I went onto booking.com, booked a room. It was really fast, very easy, and got the room, easy peasy. And then on check-in, I had to complete all my details again, of course, as instructed. But then not once was I asked for my email address, nor was I asked on checkout. And I essentially left that hotel as a stranger to that property. They had no idea who I was. They could never retarget me. They'd lost that golden opportunity. And I wonder today how many people today have experienced that process. The second property I booked, there was a couple more, but I booked another property which was direct, like you do on most occasions, but not once was I asked to update my marketing preferences, either online or when I got to the hotel either. So that hotel, again, they lost the opportunity to communicate with me outside of the booking for future retargeting. And then the most recent property I've stayed in, I booked direct, and I was explicitly asked that question on checkout to receive, do I want to receive comms? And, I've received since that stay a message from them that was totally unrelated to my stay, but it resonated with me. And that's the important thing. They've used my data effectively. So I think that each and every one of us in a hotel, we need to focus on a few things. I think as an operation, we and within your respective teams, you need to consider, and this is what I think every day, you need to consider the value of a single email address to your business. I think, at Foresight, my company, we perform a lot of analysis on this point. And when you have accurate and clean, actionable data, and a CRM provides that capability. It collects it and enriches the guest data. And then when you deploy tools to communicate relevant messaging to your guests, you can directly positively impact repeat custom, loyalty, of course, and revenues. And we not want to talk too much about foresight, but our customers deploying that strategy, frankly, it's astonishing results. It genuinely is. And so there's no reason why no one else can achieve that too, really. That would be my take.
Yeah,
on the things that you need to do. Look at your data and use it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you have two big groups. One group with people that still don't collect data, and the second one is collect data but have no idea what to do with. That's why we're here. So
often it's not in a usable format, or it's just so confusing for a hotel to get to grips with the amount of data that can be available to them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and well, let's. We are already just saying hello to the people. There's still people joining us and sending message. I'm seeing you all them. I will take your questions and please keep going. And we already like the second half of this webinar, but still have time for you to interact with us. And so I'm gonna go now to David. The same question, like what are the must-do things for hotel, like without this it will be really hard to increase direct bookings.
Yeah, so the question you originally asked, Matt, does it pay off? Yeah, the answer is yes. The effort they put in, the answer is absolutely yes. And I love Matt's examples because, and to throw another example on that, Matt, I know someone that stays at a hotel very regularly, a very high-star hotel, and every time they check in, there's a different person on reception and they ask the same question: have you stayed with us before? And that just drives us absolutely crazy as a guest. So we talked about the journey, and that's why I do love I spent some time in the CRM world, and I love what the product does. But it starts with check-in. It starts with when you actually make that decision. You walk into reception, it starts right there. And if you're a regular guest and get asked that question, it tends to go pretty wrong. We talk. I'm just listening to Matt as well, and Catt's points, and it's so important that if the hotel puts in the effort, it pays off. But what they've got to look at as well is the likes of Foresight, HotelREZ, and Asksuite. We see each other a lot. We continue evolving conversations. But what's really important is to make sure that our products talk to each other as well. So we have to make sure that these products are integrated. Why? Because our product does X, okay, and it does it very, very well, each of our 3 products. But we need to make sure that those products are completely synchronized so that it leads to that big buzzword, which is automation. So we know that the hotels are suffering with staff globally. We absolutely know it. It's ongoing in every single hotel, big or small. So what we are doing is making sure our products are fully talking to each other and integrated to take the pressure off the hotel. So in other words, when they make the inquiry on the chatbot, they make the booking on the booking engine. They then arrive to the hotel and their data flows in nicely through the CRM, and the hotel retargets them. That's because our products are all talking to each other, and that takes the pressure off. But I did ask an internal question to our sales teams a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was interesting. If I look at the last year, a huge percentage of the chatbot sales that we've sold have been based on 2 key points. We always look at direct booking conversion, but I think the bigger reason has to support the hotels 24/7. The staff issues are huge, but also the reservations department closed. People have to go home. The HotelREZ department is not sitting there 24/7. So the product is helping them right through the night through Omni Channel. And so we love to talk about that to the hotels. But the double-edged sword to that is, and it's a hotelier that said it to me, they said, yeah, but how do we manage this if we don't have staff? How am I supposed to give staff criteria to make sure to implement your products? And it's our job then to educate. It's about educating and saying, and again, we're going back to this longer picture thing. Give them the scenario, create it, talk to them, educate them on what the products do for each other, and how easy it's going to become. And if they put in that initial effort and give it time, there's a little bit of pain involved in getting any product set up at the start. But if they put that in, the longer picture is more profitable and easier on the hotel and takes the pressure off them. So, but they just have to make that commitment at the start, but it will work, and it is worth it, yes.
Yeah, and it is a new world for everybody. Everything changes so fast. So I think it's I really, that's why one of the reasons that I like so much to have these webinars and with other hotel techs or other experts, because we need to get together and to educate, like you're saying, David. We need to like Matt said as well, like now they understand that they have data, but they don't know what to do with the data and so on, the process and how to do it and all that. So I think this is key. I'm with you 100% there. And before I ask Catt the same question, Alex is here. She made a comment here that I want to read before Catt answer. There is not enough money in anyone's marketing budget to compete with the billions the big players invest. Yeah, but it's what you do with the booking from pre-arrival communications, and I think all of you already said something about that, to welcome experience. That's what it's about. So yeah, go ahead, Catt. What do you think that is the most things to do for hotels to increase traffic?
Firstly, I think that's such a good point that Alex has made. I think independent hotels and all of us in any commercial enterprise, you need to pick your battles, starting from where you are. So the first opportunity is to say, right, what is my current tech stack? Get a clean phone, borrow a friend's phone, and have a look at your search for your hotel on a clean phone. There's not a clean phone in my house because I look at every device. My husband's Google account's connected to me, so I can't see what HotelREZ looks like to the world. I can't see, we provide booking engines to a myriad of hotels. If I want to get a clean search and a clean view of those, have a look at your hotel and what is the journey like for somebody who's searching for you and who's looking to book you. So the first thing, obviously, one assumes you've got a website, but just make sure that your marketing is all consistent to the name of your hotel on your website. And then once somebody arrives on your website, make sure all of your social media is linked directly to your website. So your link in bio and your link tree in Instagram. When somebody arrives on your website, make sure that they can get the information they need, but also that the calls to action are really, really clear. So in the Western Hemisphere, your book now button or your booking mask with the dates is visible. It's above the fold. The booking engine and the website is fully responsive so that if somebody's looking on a mobile, a tablet, or a laptop, they can see you and they can book you. So the first thing, that technology, making sure that you've got that technology there and that the booking engine that you have is converting. We're very fortunate. We've chosen to use the Synexis responsive booking engine. And as such, we've got tens of thousands of hotels across the world, not just HotelREZ members, but also design hotels, leading hotels of the world, small luxury. And we can really make sure the technology is constantly evolving and that we're keeping up with that best practice. So get that technology in place. Once you've got that technology in place, it's also about empowering and making sure that everybody in the hotel is aligned to support that direct booking strategy. Very often, if there's marketing, sales, revenue, sometimes people can be optimizing different channels. Marketing can be doing amazing stuff on Instagram. Revenue management can be working fantastically with the OTAs. Make sure they're all working together and that you've got that unified strategy and then that unified view of that booker who's booked, who's going to come to you. And then after they've stayed with you, that you're continuing that and that you're continuing remarketing to them after they've stayed with you. And the final thing is the technology and integrations. Just from a purely technical perspective, you have to have real live rates and availability on your own site, and you have to have parity of availability, not just rate parity, but parity of availability, parity and integrity of offering, extended longer into the future than you do on the OTAs. You know, don't give the OTAs 18 months, but you've only given yourself a year. Give yourself as far into the future as you have events in your local area. So those would be my three key areas.
Yeah, I think you actually answer at least part of the. I'm not sure if I'm gonna say her name wrong. So sorry if I'm butchering your name here. Kerstin, I don't know. Yeah, because she's asking what are the best digital marketing tactics to drive direct bookings from your point of view. I think you already mentioned a few of them there, Catt, and the best, I think, I don't know, personal, and from what you're saying too, Catt, even if you have like a great best, like the best digital marketing tactic in terms of attraction, if you don't have in terms of conversion that you're talking about a lot here with the technology, it actually backfires in some way, you know, because you get the expectation and the person goes to your website or whatever, or go to your social media and try to talk to you and nothing or something like that, and then it's you have to, everything have to be aligned, like you said. I think that's a really good point too. Everything have to be aligned. All departments in the hotel have to be aligned to what the hotel is doing, the strategy they're doing. We are actually heading to, sorry, Catt, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, I think it's all part of providing that service to the guest, and the service that we provide to the guest starts from the very first time the guest sees our property and continues until after they've stayed with us. So by using the technology, it enables us to provide that service consistently throughout their journey with us, through their stay and afterwards.
Awesome. And well, I think already the next question, all three of you already said something about it, but just to make it like a recap, what are the benefits then for hotels and for guests with direct booking specifically? So Catt, you can start with this one too.
I would say it's that service. So the direct, when I book directly with a hotel, when people book directly with our hoteliers, it enables the hoteliers to really look after the guest in a much more personal way. It enables them to engage the guest and upsell in a very elegant and genuinely service-minded way. You know, I think sometimes we can shy away from sales or upselling, but actually an elegant upsell is a genuine service and benefit to a guest. So I think there's much more of an opportunity to do that with the direct booker.
Awesome. And Matt, what are your recap of this?
I think that the direct booking benefit is, I sound like a broken record, is the first party data. And, you know, that ability to connect with your guests. And, you know, it's really important. It really is. You know, when Google announced the elimination of third-party cookies, which will be now, next year, hotels need to plan for that cookieless future, don't they? And, you know, direct bookings feeding into a CRM with all that rich data, augmented by possibly guest information from other systems, supports that strategy. So I would say a benefit really for a hotel is that once you've got that robust first party data-centric strategy in place, you can it really will enhance or enable stronger personalization and a much deeper relationship with your guests, without, of course, sacrificing that effective targeting of new potential guests. Okay, so yeah, and then for the guests, well, crikey, you know, what are the benefits to them? There's lots, isn't there? But, you know, they can be captivated and tantalized by the creative brilliance, I suppose, of the marketing departments within hotels, because they can use the data to understand their guests and really send them information that will resonate with them and that's relevant to them. And like Catt says, whether that's relating to their current booking, through upgrades or add-on experiences or whatever they might be, or just information, or it could be about just understanding their past behavior. What are their preferences? Have you captured the essence of who they are, of who's staying in your property? What are their needs and what are their requirements? How do you go that extra mile, which makes that stay memorable enough to drive loyalty? And I think that can all be achieved through good, robust first-party data and a bit of automation as well, particularly what David mentioned about, post-COVID. And I think automation is more important than ever in terms of communicating with a human touch, especially with our staffing problems we have. Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. And yeah, we were talking about a lot of the frustration from the guest point of view when the hotel doesn't know them before arrival and all that. We all mentioned situations here, but I have to say, when I was hotelier, it was I honestly almost hate bookings through OTAs because we didn't know anything, and it would be like all the time a surprise. It would be like, oh, you have a child with, I don't know, that it's allergic, or you have, and then there was nothing, and it was just, we would feel like, oh my god, here comes another one that we have nothing. So it's beneficial for both sides, in my humble opinion. And David, what about you? If you could do a recap here of benefits.
Yeah, well, I think if I was a hotel listening to this now or watching the recording, definitely what you should do is put yourself in the shoes of the guest, and what is it that you would want to happen, and that is ease of use, speed, efficiency, 24/7 response, etc. Because it starts with pre-stay, it moves into the booking, and then we deal with the in-stay and the CRM and all of that. And if you can get those pieces right, then that guest will come back. But you've got to start with the very start. And if you look at your surrounding hotels in your local town or wherever they are, you need to stay at the forefront of what the others are doing. So have a look. And if there's any hotels thinking, oh my God, after watching this webinar, how much does this all... It's going to cost a fortune. Did they not realize we're not at full occupancy? This is all great talking about this. I've been at so many meetings where I've said to the hotelier, but do have a look at what you're paying for in the hotel at the moment. Are you utilizing everything that you've got installed right now? Because sometimes they duplicate, and really understand the newer and the tech stack that's out there now. But just going back to my previous point about automation, and Matt and Catt have spoken about it, it is just about taking the pressure off yourselves by putting in that effort now. Because in a year's time, if things globally go the way they are going, hopefully we'll be in even much better situation. So if you feel the bit of pain now, it'll pay off.
Yeah.
Well, we are unfortunately less than 2 minutes to actually finish this webinar, and I think the three of you gave many great tips like a pro, as promised in this webinar in the title. So I just want to say thank you so much for the three of you. I hope everybody that is watching us enjoyed the show, and I want to thank then Catt, first of all, for being here and finally doing this. And now you are on the stage, not in the audience. So thank you so much, Catt. I want to also say thank you so much for Matt for being here too, and for Sight as well for being the second time, but Matt first time. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate giving your time. And finally, thank you, David, for doing another live show with me here. It was great having you again on the show. Thanks everybody that is watching, everybody that was commenting and interacting with us. We tried to do to get all the questions that we could, but I'm pretty sure all the three companies will be happy to that you get in touch and talk to them through LinkedIn, website, or the best way you want. So thanks everybody. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.